Iran's first direct attack on Israel was full of sound and fury. By Israel's count, 150 ballistic and cruise missiles, bringing the Middle East to the moment of maximum danger many predicted.
Without admitting it, Israel has been stepping up assassinations of Iranian Revolutionary Guard commanders in Syria and Iraq. Iranian leaders have been getting increasingly agitated.
Over the weekend, Iran, for the first time, directly attacked Israel, sending a barrage of hundreds of missiles and armed drones that were intercepted by the United States, the UK, and Jordan. Now, the strikes did not come out of nowhere and served as retaliation for Israel's attacks on an Iranian consulate in Syria a few weeks ago. Here's how the attack by Iran went down and what the aftermath was.
More than 300 drones and missiles launched at Israel, including more than 100 medium-range ballistic missiles, 30 land attack cruise missiles, and more than 150 one-way attack drones. IDF spokesperson Peter Lerner telling me at an airbase on the outskirts of Tel Aviv that cooperation with American forces and others meant that they were able to shoot down most of the threats. But some missiles did make it past their defenses. In a video circulating online, verified by ABC News, you can see missiles striking Israel's Nevatim Air Force Base. Iranians claim this was the site responsible for the strike on an Iranian consulate in Syria earlier this month that killed top commanders. The president today meeting with leaders of the G7 to try and stabilize the situation and avoid further escalation. And while US officials drive home the ironclad support for Israel and its right to defend itself, there are also calls for restraint.
We don't seek a war with Iran. We don't seek an escalated tensions in the region. We don't seek a wider conflict.
Now, it's important to keep in mind that the way Iran carried out this retaliatory attack was really meant to communicate to the Iranian people that Iran was willing to retaliate. But Iran, in my opinion, made it pretty clear that they do not want to escalate this into a regional war. Why do I think that? Well, first of all, it was the most slow-moving attack against Israel imaginable. They had warned Israel weeks in advance. I remember when the news first broke over the weekend, I tuned into CNN and they're like, oh, the weaponized drones, the missiles, they're coming in the next few hours, right? So it was intentionally done in a way to prevent casualties, to prevent major destruction to Israel, give Israel and its allies enough time to prepare its defenses. And that's why there were no casualties, no fatalities, and very little damage in terms of what you saw in the video, what the few missiles that did get through the defense system managed to cause. And it was at an Air Force base in Israel.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you. Yeah, so Iran has been saying for some time, we're gonna strike back for the consulate attack that Israel did in Syria. So, but this is a critical fact that you should know. Not only that, but they told the Arab countries that the missiles were going to fly over and the drones were going to fly over with 72-hour notice. Now they know that once they tell those countries that they're going to tell America, like allies like Jordan are, etc., and America's going to tell Israel. So why did they give them this enormous heads up? Oh, we are so mad at you. We are going to fire 300 missiles and drones. They know that Israel has Iron Dome. They know that we have an aircraft carrier there. And by the way, the Arab countries participated in knocking down the drones and missiles, including Jordan, okay? So there's a very good reason why Iran did it that way. Number one, they have to placate their domestic audience as any country has to. So the Ayatollah goes out there and goes, oh, we showed those Israelis, we launched all these missiles and drones. You see that, we didn't let them get away with attacking our consulate and murdering our top general, etc. And then they turn around to America and go, look guys, obviously we're not trying to start a giant war here. We gave you a 72-hour notice. We took a couple of hours to fly the drones to Israel. Like we couldn't telegraph this anymore, meaning we don't want a war. So now what Israel does next is critical. It will probably determine everything. So, and one other thing that's important here, why is this different than the other attacks? Because Israel's been hitting Iranian targets for a long, long time. Whether you say surrogates like Hamas, Hezbollah, I mean, Israel hits those on a regular basis, and I get it, because those are the surrogates that are attacking Israel, especially Hamas, right? But then Israel's gone way beyond that many times, including hitting Iranian officials, as Anna and the news just pointed out, in different countries like Iraq and Syria. But on top of that, they have targeted physicists inside Iran, and they have done assassinations, including of physicists that weren't working on their nuclear program at all. Assassinations in front of a kindergarten as a guy was picking up his children. They just murdered him. But the difference here is both of these strikes, both the Israeli strike on the consulate and the Iranian strike on Israel, are acknowledged publicly, which the others are not. Israel goes, oh, was another Iranian scientist murdered? I wonder who did it, right? So that is not acknowledged. These are acknowledged. And secondly, a consulate is the equivalent of your home soil. So this is the first time they're hitting each other on their home soil. So that is why it's an extra degree of concern here, and hence then leads to the question of what is Israel going to do next, and what is our role, America, in preventing them from doing something disastrous?
Exactly. So we'll get to what Israel is saying in just a moment, but I also wanted to make a point about, I've been seeing some criticism toward the United States and its allies in providing defense capabilities to Israel to prevent Israel from, suffering from these strikes. And I disagree with those takes completely for a number of reasons. Number one, I don't want to see civilians die as a result of this war, whether they be Israeli civilians, Palestinian civilians. I want them to be protected, number one. Number two, you want to prevent giving Netanyahu any excuse to broaden this to a much wider regional war, a war with Iran, which, make no mistake, the United States would be dragged into. And so the fact that there are no casualties is a good thing, because it means that Netanyahu can't point to Israeli civilians dying as the excuse for expanding this war, which is something that I believe, and this is my speculation, I believe Netanyahu wants to do. Netanyahu wants nothing more than to remain in power, and the easiest way for him to do that is to prolong this war, right? To engage in more conflict, which makes it far more difficult for the Israeli people to oust him, because during wartime, it's incredibly difficult to oust the prime minister of Israel.
Yeah, so first let me double down on what Anna said. I love that Israel and America and Jordan and others were able to protect the Israeli civilians. I believe in defense because our whole mission here is to try to save as many civilian lives as possible, whether they're Israeli, Palestinian, Iranian, etc. But there's a giant difference between defense and offense. So that's where I give Biden a lot of credit, because he has said that the US will not join Israel if they're going on the offense. And so that matters, that's real. And so credit where credit is due. We'll talk about a little bit more about that in a second. But the reason why what Israel's gonna do next is not that clear is, I don't even know that it's even speculation, as Anna just said. It's more analysis than anything else, because Netanyahu over the last couple of decades has said repeatedly that there should be attacks against Iran. Not only that Israel should do it, but that America should do it on behalf of Israel. And so that he's not hiding that agenda. He's wanted to attack Iran for a long time, but there are complications, because they also want to attack Rafah, which is the last standing city in Gaza. So they're like, how do we kill the Palestinians in Rafah and drive them into the desert with no evacuation plan and do a massive humanitarian damage there? What US cables said would be catastrophic humanitarian consequences, while at the same time starting a giant war with Iran. And I think that there are some cabinet officials that appear to be concerned that they could do both at the same time. And I don't know if there are any cabinet officials who are concerned that Israel and Israeli citizens, a lot of them, could die in this disastrous war. Yeah. But they're so arrogant. They're so, used to getting everything they want. And I'm a little afraid that this kind of near false attack by Iran gave them more confidence. Like, oh, we can knock down anything. Yeah, that's because they launched it from hours ahead of time, brother. The next time they do that, they're not gonna give you a heads up, and they're not gonna launch from so far away. They've got Hamas, Hezbollah surrounding you, etc. So I'm worried about the cockiness of the Israeli right-wing government and the disaster it could lead to, but
yeah, you should be. You should be. And really, in terms of any concern that the United States engages in a direct war with Iran, really the ball is in Netanyahu's court. Because if Netanyahu continues provoking and Iran decides, you know what, we've done everything we can to prevent this from expanding into a war, a hot war between ourselves, Israel, and the United States, we can't take it anymore. We're all in now, right? You think the United States is just gonna sit back and allow Israel and Iran to duke it out without getting involved? The US would definitely get dragged into that war, because don't make the mistake of thinking that Iran would not be a formidable opponent to Israel militarily. They would be a formidable opponent to the United States militarily. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they're gonna come and take Albuquerque. What it means is, you see how we got bogged down in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Exactly, yep.
Iran is 4 times the size of Iraq and has much greater military capabilities than Iraq did. So we'll get bogged down in the Middle East for another decade or two, draining trillions of dollars in taxpayer money for a war that no one needs. It helps no one. It doesn't help Iran. It doesn't help Israel. It doesn't help anyone but the political career of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yes.
So it would be criminal if we got involved in this war. We should do everything in our, within our potential to prevent that war, let alone if our troops go and die there for the most needless war in human history. So somebody just, for God's sake, get a control over Netanyahu so that we don't all wind up in World War III to appease his stupid ego.
Now, Biden, as you mentioned earlier, Cenk, is telling Israel and Netanyahu in particular to just take the win, don't escalate this further. A senior administration official emphasized that the United States would not participate in any offensive Israeli response against Iran. Quote, our aim is to de-escalate regional tensions and prevent the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza from becoming a wider conflagration, the senior Biden administration official said. But unfortunately, some of the messaging that we've seen from Israel so far, Israel and its spokespeople, make clear that maybe de-escalation is unlikely. Let's take a look.
We are told that in their phone call last night, President Biden urged Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to slow things down, to think carefully and strategically about the risk of escalation. Iran's government, we are also told, sent a message to the White House as this attack was underway, suggesting that they're finished after this, that they consider this matter to be closed. Now, as for what comes next, the White House says ultimately it is up to Israel to decide whether and how to respond. But officials here tonight tell us that the US will not participate in any counterattack.
But Iran has said this was in retaliation for the airstrike on the consulate. They said it was always going to be a limited operation. There is no intention of continuing it now. So can this end here?
And at the same time, in the early hours of this morning, Iran's proxy Hezbollah launched more rocket attacks against Israel. So I don't trust Iran. I don't see why anybody should.
So it's important to keep in mind that while, yes, Iran provides aid to groups like Hezbollah, there is no indication that Iran is giving Hezbollah the orders to attack Israel. It's kind of like the United States, honestly, arming various countries. After you arm them, you don't have full control over what they do with those arms. And I think that's been pretty clear with this war in Israel as well. I should also note that an Israeli official told NBC News, quote, Israel can't allow such a large attack over Israel without some kind of response, be it small or large. It's up to the war cabinet to decide now. And remember, that war cabinet is filled with the Bezalel Smotriches and the people who absolutely want to engage with a hot war with Iran. So that doesn't give me any peace of mind at all. But right now, we're just waiting to see what Israel decides to do, whether they do in fact plan to retaliate. And if they do retaliate, what is that going to look like? And would that expand this to a broader regional war with Iran involved?
Yeah, so we have some indication of that based on what Israeli surrogates are saying, including one that I debated on Piers Morgan today. So I'll get to that in 1 second. But first, look, I don't want you to hear only one side of a story. So they say, oh, like Hezbollah has fired rockets at Israel. Yeah, of course, they don't mention that Israel preemptively attacked Hezbollah after October 7th. And now at the same time, Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. So there are both sides to this story. The idea that Israel's, which oftentimes our spokespeople paint this, and so does Rishi Sunak in UK and a lot of other Western governments. Oh, poor Israel has never done anything in their lives, and these mean terrorist Hezbollah guys are attacking them, etc. No, I'm concerned about Hezbollah's rockets, but at the same time, I'm concerned that Israel's been occupying the Palestinians for 75 years with no let-up at all and has taken more and more land, thereby inflaming the entire region. The occupation is the moral cancer in the Middle East that is causing all of these problems. So the fact that they haven't stopped occupation is crazy. But guys, even if you say, I don't care about the other side, they're the bad guys, I don't care if they all die, all I care about is protecting Israel. Okay, do you think it's going to help Israel to go and attack Iran and have the entire Iranian population rally around the flag, and the population which does not like the current Iranian regime? But the minute they're bombed, what are they gonna do? They're gonna turn around and go, well, okay, now we gotta fight Israel, so now we're gonna support the regime. So look, there's a bunch of raving lunatics. The neocons are back. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.